friends, it's Jasmine, and I hope that you all are doing well. If you're new to my channel, welcome. I am a witchy content creator here on YouTube, but also some other platforms, which all of my links are gonna be down below. And if you are a returning subscriber, it's good to see you again. How you been? Your support really means the world to me, so if you like this video, give it a like. If you want to see more of me, make sure that you hit the bell and subscribe and do all of those things that you can do if you want to see more of me. Super awkward. Anyway, so in today's video, I really want to talk about UPG, Unverified Personal Gnosis. And this video is going to be a little bit of a video response in a way to the Red Witch Bitch, I believe is their user here on YouTube. I will also put their channel down below and I will tag them and I will do all of the things. This topic is kind of like hot and heavy on my mind right now because I just published my first book, which is Ambrosia's Book of Witchflight, which is very much a work of UPG. So I think that talking about UPG on the channel now is relevant now more than ever. So this video is very much going to come from, of course, my own perspective, but also the perspective of a queer person and a American traditional witch. So keep that in mind. When we say UPG, what we are referring to is Unverified Personal Gnosis, which I feel like has kind of become a little bit of like a buzzword, right? I see a lot of witches who loathe UPG. I feel like that's really more so from the neo-pagan side, specifically the Reconstructionists, the folks who intend to practice as closely as they can to the same way that ancient pagans were practicing. I'm not a Reconstructionist, and I feel like I fall further and further out of the neo-pagan category by the day. I feel like you could lump me in as a pagan just in terms of the sense that like anything that's not Abrahamic is considered pagan. I feel like I could be under the pagan umbrella in that way, but I feel like I fall further and further out of grace. And out of alignment with the term pagan. I really just identify as a witch or as a traditional witch or as a traditional American witch, like the more and more that I practice. And my channel has changed a lot. And for those of you who have been on here for a while and have watched me, then you've seen that change. But yeah, UPG, Unverified Personal Gnosis. So an example of this might be a personal experience with a deity or a spirit, offerings or correspondences that may not necessarily be like canon or in the stories, the mythologies, the folklore, whatever. Like this would be a personal sort of thing. And like I said, I feel like UPG has kind of become a buzzword, and it's kind of, I don't know, also been used as a way to like discredit experiences or work, because it's just UPG, like it's not canon, it's not in the book. Now, my controversial, unpopular opinion is that almost all holy texts had to be UPG at some point in time. I personally do not believe that we have any written literature given to us exclusively by the divine. I believe in channeled work and I believe in channeled gnosis, but would that not still fall under UPG or even SPG or VPG? The other terms that we have, SPG is shared personal gnosis. Shared personal gnosis could be between a couple of practitioners or a group of practitioners. Oftentimes specific traditions within the craft or individual covens will have SPG within their tradition. That's part of what makes their tradition, is that it's a shared personal gnosis and that all of the witches in that tradition are kind of on the same page and on that same frequency. And then lastly, VPG, which is verified personal gnosis, which is like if enough people all are kind of experiencing the same thing, it becomes verified. Now, I'm not exactly sure, and maybe those of you who are watching this video can elaborate for me down in the comments. I'm not exactly sure where it goes from shared personal gnosis to verified personal gnosis. I mean, how many people exactly does it take to verify something? Is it verifiable if 2 people experience the same thing? Is it verifiable if 20 people or 200 people experience the same thing? What makes verifiable gnosis verified? Is it simply just time? Is it hundreds of years of the same gnosis is what verifies it? I'm not exactly sure. And I don't really know the answer to that. Like I said, if someone down below has an idea of how they would separate shared gnosis and verified gnosis, I would love to hear what you think down below. I just wanted to kind of touch on unverified personal gnosis as someone who just recently wrote a book that is very much UPG. And when I wrote my book, Ambrosia's Book of Witchflight, I wasn't necessarily trying to write like another Witchcraft 101 book. I think those books are wonderful and valid, but also very oversaturated. And one, I'm not sure what I have to add to that conversation as far as witchy 101 books. And 2, like, I'm not sure that I want to. And I've talked about my book and how I got to writing my book before here on my channel, but essentially it was part of a spirit pact, and my book is all about witchflight. So ripping your spirit from your body, kind of like astral projection. Now, it's also not a 101 guide on how to fly either, and it's not written with the intention to be an education tool to teach you how to fly. It's Ambrosia's Book of Witchflight because it's my personal gnosis, filled with my own journal entries. And so I was hesitant about really publishing this work because I knew that a lot of people are very critical and skeptical about works of unverified personal gnosis. But personally, I feel like UPG is really how the craft grows. I think it's how traditions grow. I think it's how the craft grows. Because otherwise, we're just going to keep working within the same books of the 90s, like Silver Ravenwolf or Scott Cunningham, which blessed be. I mean, I'm not even commenting on those authors, but like, it's 2023 now, and I feel like the craft should evolve as it always has with time and with modern practitioners. And something that I've seen a lot is a lot of the same sort of regurgitation, right? Where you find the same type of witchcraft books published over and over and over again. For example, astral projection or astral journeying or whatever you want to call it. Go on Amazon or go on Google now and look up just astral travel books and tell me how many of those books are offering you 101 sort of beginner guides to how to astral project. But how many of those books are also speaking from personal experience, not just ripping your spirit from your body and traveling the astral or the other world, but what happens once you actually get there. And I feel like that's a lot of the work that I would like to see more of in this community. And in order for that to happen, we have to start supporting works of unverified personal gnosis, because that's how we're going to achieve shared gnosis, is by people sharing their real experiences, which I know can be scary. Trust me, I'm still there, and I've been there, and I'm still there. But that's how we get shared personal gnosis, right? Is because multiple people are sharing similar experiences across oceans or across miles, but yet still experiencing the same sort of spiritual phenomenon. That's how we get shared personal gnosis. I think that's very important to the craft and to the craft continuing to evolve and to grow. Otherwise, we are going to be looking at these same holy books or these same sacred texts, and the craft is going to stay in that same era. And I feel like, in 2023, we are still kind of working through where we're blasting out of the witchcraft of the 90s. Now, there's not to say that there's not plenty of really great work that was made in the 90s, and I do think that any witch that's worth their salt should read some of those iconic books of the 90s. But let's read some current books too, right? I do think that verified gnosis has a place, right? Because on the opposite end of the pendulum from the reconstructionists who essentially want to historical role play, if you will, which I know that might be offensive to say, but that's personally kind of how I view it. I don't think that anyone living in 2023 can exactly replicate how the priestesses of Hecate were working with her, because it's 2023. And some of those practices could be illegal or unaccessible, right? So I do kind of just see it as historical role play, which is fun. I enjoy historical reenactments. But on the opposite end of that pendulum, what we have are revitalists. So these are people that are completely experiencing everything without any historical background whatsoever. Revitalists are people that purely experience the divine through their own gnosis. And I feel like when the pendulum swings so far that way, that's where we can easily fall into spiritual psychosis, which is a video that I would like to make. If you're interested in my thoughts on spiritual psychosis, comment down below and let me know. I really feel like the truth and the power, as usual, kind of lies somewhere in the middle. It's not being a hardcore reconstructionist that's unable to evolve and modernize oneself, but it's also not being a hardcore revitalist that is not willing to actually learn and read from historical or folkloric texts. I really feel like an empowered witch in their own practice is going to fall somewhere in the middle. And that's my own opinion personally. This has just kind of been like a quick video talking about UPG, Unverified Personal Gnosis, SPG, Shared Personal Gnosis, and VPG, Verified Personal Gnosis. And I would love to hear how you all would define these down below in the comments and let me know what you think. I think that's gonna be it for tonight's video. I'm getting ready to do a stream over on Drunken Divinations at 8:30 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. But by the time you're watching this, like, it'll already be uploaded, so go check it out. Thank you all so much for watching. I really appreciate all the love and all the support. I hope that you all are well, and until next time, blessed be, and I will see you in hell.